Welcome everyone to the first training webinar of National Drive Electric Week 2021. We're going to wait a couple more minutes as people join, but just as a heads up, today we'll go over EV event ideas, as well as provide some in-depth tips for organizing a parade or EV caravan. And as always, we'll leave time for questions at the end. So go ahead and add any questions you have into the question panel. And thanks again to everyone who's joined so far. We're going to wait about one more minute to get started as more people join the webinar. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please just add them to the question panel and we'll leave time at the end to answer those. Okay, so I think we're good to get started. So, just a heads up. Oh, I see JD Taylor from Poolsville's here. Thanks for joining, JD. All right. So today we're going to cover some basic kind of EV event ideas. We'll also have a speaker who's going to talk about his experience organizing a parade, in case anyone is interested in organizing an EV parade. And then Elaine Borsett, my co-host, today is going to talk about organizing an EV caravan. All right, so we can go ahead and get started. Okay, so my name is Kylie Morgan, and I manage National Drive Electric Week and Drive Electric Earth Day at Plug-in America. And I'm joined today by my co-host, Elaine Borsett from the Electric Auto Association.
Hi, everybody. I'm Elaine Borsett, Vice President and Membership Chair of Electric Auto Association. So I see we have some familiar names as participants, but a lot I don't recognize. So if you're new to Drive Electric Week, what is it? It's a nationwide campaign of events organized by local volunteers and organizations. The national team is made up of Plug-in America, Sierra Club, and Electric Auto Association, and we provide support to all events across the US in a variety of ways. The events, you can get no-cost EV materials, online event pages, event insurance, and other resources which you can find on our website, which is driveelectricweek.org. That's also a great place to send anybody who has questions about any events anywhere in the nation. So traditionally, this has been an in-person events campaign with more than 300 events across all 50 states. Last year, it was primarily online. And then this year, we expect NDEW will be a mix of in-person and online events as more in-person activities become possible throughout the US. So also think about making your event, if you are going to have an in-person event, think about broadcasting some of it to your Facebook page or other online platform to make it somewhat of a hybrid event and get as many people involved as you can. So every event gets a free online event page, and this is great. Keep in mind that you can have as many events as you like. Don't feel like you're limited to just hosting one event. You can host as many as you like. So each Drive Electric Week event receives this no-cost online event page on the website. All important notifications can be found at the top of the page in the notes for the city captain section. And you do need to be logged in order to see that. On the page, you can also track attendee registrations. You can email your registered attendees and recruit EV owners to volunteer. What I like about this page is that it gives you the choice to email, for instance, just your volunteers just your participants, maybe just the auto dealers that are participating, or you can choose to email all of them. So it's a great way to stay in touch with them, send out reminders, that type of thing.
All right, so as we get into EV event tips, we want to encourage all events to be as inclusive as possible. You can do this by featuring EVs of different prices, such as used EVs. And Plug-in America does have a used EV buyer's guide that you can learn from as you talk to people, or even email that link to your attendees. Another way to be accessible, to have an inclusive event, is to make sure your event is accessible via public transit. Some people may not have personal vehicles, so you want to make sure that people can reach it by bus or train. We also recommend having one or more volunteers who can check in with people who may have vision, hearing, or mobility impairments. They'll let you know if they need help or if they're fine on their own. And finally, make sure that your event is promoted in multiple languages. Also having a volunteer at the event who's bilingual can really go a long way in making your event feel welcoming to those community members. Right, so first we're going to talk about tips for in-person events. And the first topic we'll go over is safety. So since NDEW is still a couple of months away and the COVID-19 safety guidance is changing nationally, we're still finalizing our official guidelines for this year. So for now, we're just asking that everyone meets the requirements of local health authorities as you plan your event. Independently consider if it's safe to have an EV test drive, based on the infection rate in your community. And always consider the safety of all your attendees and volunteers.
So event features, think about different ways that you can get information out to people. So ride and drives, of course, are the best. We all know butts in seats is really what sells an EV. Until people get behind the wheel and until they hit that accelerator, they just don't have a clue how amazing electric vehicles are. So if it's safe in your area, test drives are a great way to showcase the superior driving experience of an EV. Keep in mind that if you can get dealer participation, many of the dealers are still doing touchless test drives, and they'll disinfect in between each one. You can also consider ride-alongs or a short presentation on EV basics, like showing people how easy it is to charge at home or showcasing local charging stations. We have one Electric Auto Association chapter that actually did kind of a caravan around to the different EV location or the different charging locations in their town. That's a great way to showcase not only EVs, but the charging locations. So, and if you can do a talk, whether it's in person or online, do an EV presentation about all the different ins and outs of driving an electric vehicle, and be sure to consider including purchase incentives. So not only the federal incentives, but the state incentives for your state and any local incentives. Keep in mind that many utilities offer incentives, and be sure to include those. And so ribbon cutting ceremonies are a great way to garner more attention. So connect with your local officials, see if there's an opportunity for them to begin your event with an EV policy announcement or a ribbon cutting for a new charger installation in your community. Exhibitor booths are a great way to get people out and get people interested. And keep in mind, it's not just about EVs. Talk to solar companies and see if they're interested in having an exhibitor booth and or even sponsoring your event. So you can do local businesses, solar companies, Other organizations that are interested in clean air or sustainability might be interested in participating. Think about having fleet vehicles there. So many cities now have electric vehicles on their fleet, many police departments. I know our local utility brings their Chevy Bolts to a lot of our events. So think about a way to partner with those types of organizations. Many times they'll post your event on their websites or push your information out to their database. So it's a good way to connect and get more people to your event. So as you plan, think about adding features that you can add that will draw people. So, you know, electric bus rides, school bus displays, live music and food trucks are always a big win. People love them. Workshops, and it doesn't have to always be a workshop on just electric vehicles, maybe a workshop on the connection between solar, battery backup, and electric vehicles. Think about speakers that you can get that people will be excited about. Connect with your public officials. This is a great way to get some media attention out there. Think about the city proclamations and the policy announcements. These are great. I know in Carlsbad, we one of our members was instrumental in getting an anti-icing ordinance passed. So, you know, that's a good thing to highlight and get those city officials out and thank them. And a lot of times that will bring some media attention. So again, as we mentioned, invite those local officials to your event. Their attendance can really help drive more attention and the potential media coverage. So you can visit the NDEW event planning guide for a template. So the nationaldriveelectricweek.org website just has so much information. It's such a great resource for resources. So be sure and go in and check it out. This is a great one here, engaging your local official. I know a lot of us, I feel like, where do I even begin with something like that if it's something I've never done? But so you can go to our website and find a template to walk you right through that procedure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Elaine. All right. So next, local sponsorships. So even though National Drive Electric Week is sponsored nationally by various companies, including the Nissan Leaf, who's the exclusive automotive sponsor, you can still have local sponsorships, such as local automaker sponsors or any type of company. And these are just some ideas for benefits, in ways that a sponsorship can help both parties. So other than funding, sponsors can also provide in-kind donations like an event space or raffle prizes for your attendees. They may also be able to help promote your event to their mailing list or even their employees. And at the event, you can offer sponsors visibility on your marketing materials, whether that be flyers or on social media. You can also give them a booth with a great location at your event. And then if they're interested in customer leads, you may also be able to pitch that this will be a really good opportunity for them. Okay, so next we're going to hear from the head parade marshal of an annual community. He's going to talk to us about organizing a parade. And his parade in particular features EVs, but also a lot of other exhibitors. So he'll give some great general tips for that. Share my screen. Okay.
Thank you very much. I'm Mark Schechter. I've been an EV driver for about 8-9 years now, since 2013, when I leased a Honda Fit EV when they were experimental here in California back then. And have been pretty much driving an EV ever since. I'm also involved in the committee that puts on a neighborhood parade every July 4th. I got roped into being part of the committee about 10 years ago. My responsibility pretty much is to obtain parade marshals, who are people that help with the parade. The parade marshals essentially make sure that the participants line up in the proper location, that they get started at the right time. I'm pretty much directing all that at where the parade begins.
So say someone's doing this for the first time, what are some like logistical tips and maybe things that you didn't know, went on with organizing a parade like this?
Okay. Well, logistically, what we do is the parade marshals essentially, what we do is we number the streets with chalk in increments of 20 feet, which will accommodate the size of a car, excuse me, the size of a car or a medium-sized group of participants. And we will, have parade marshals direct the participants as they arrive to where their staging area is on a given street, and and tell them this is your number. Look for your number on the ground, and that's where you wait till it starts. We put up no parking signs along the street 3 days in advance because that's a part of the city's policy. We have barricades to block off streets because there are no cars allowed on the street that morning until the parade is over. Additionally, the city requires a permit, which we have to get. We get a lot of help from our community, not only residents, but businesses as far as financial support. And so it's out, hustling, helping for them to help us out.
And, I have a question just after listening. So how far in advance do you usually have to register the parade with, you said you have to get a permit, right?
Yes, we have to get a permit through the city. We usually start the planning process, give or take February. And we have we have meetings once a month for the first 3 months or so. Meet monthly until usually about June, when we might meet 2 or 3 times. Everything's shared via email or via email, and then in person and on paper if need be. And the city, permitting process usually isn't too difficult. We get t-shirts printed, so all the parade marshals, are identifiable by a t-shirt that has the 4th of July parade logo on it and so forth. And just we just started doing some publicity. There's just a lot of different activities that begin.
Got it. Okay, well, I think that's a ton of awesome information. I guess, is there anything else, kind of last remarks that you wish you would have known when you first started organizing these parades?
But there's a lot to it than simple just saying, let's go have a parade. So, I mean, like I said, whether it's getting permits, getting volunteers, getting t-shirts made, getting flyers and announcements out, recruiting people to participate. There's just a ton of work that goes to it. Putting out barricades and no park signs. Before we do that, we go through the neighborhood on foot on the streets that are in the parade, and we pass out flyers that said effective July 4th, there'll be no traffic on the streets. And if they live there, they know that they have cars that have to get off the streets. But it's just a lot to it that the average person, I don't think, realizes.
Got it. Yeah. How big is your team usually who organizes this?
Well, the basic group or committee is probably about a half a dozen people. Me and 3 other guys, and then one woman who handles all the t-shirt stuff, another woman who is the announcer and handles all the announcing as people come through. Toward the end of the parade, they announce them. It's a ton of fun. I invite you someday to come watch and join it, or you can even help us.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely want to check it out now. Well, I think that's it for today. Thanks so much for your time, Mark.
You're welcome. If you have any questions, feel free to holler.
Okay, will do. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Bye. All right, now I'm going to pass it back to Elaine. Also, if anyone has any questions about organizing an EV parade, I can help connect you. And he can help answer any additional questions.
Excellent. Thanks, Kylie. And so The parades are a great thing to participate in. And I always tell our chapter that it's kind of a quick, easy, fun event. However, I've never organized the parade from start to finish. Typically, what we do is we try to find an existing parade and just participate. And in fact, we've been in Mark Schechter's 4th of July parade for about 4 years now. And in fact, Mark has been driving electric for a long time. He's actually waiting on a Mustang Mach-E that should be coming in the next week or two, I think. So he's excited about that. But so parades are great, but they are an awful lot of work if you're going to do one from scratch. So another way that you can showcase how quiet and clean EVs are is to do an EV caravan. And as I mentioned earlier, one of our chapters has done a caravan where they went around to different charging locations in town, and that's kind of dual purpose. It helps showcase those chargers, and it also helps showcase the EVs. And it gives a chance for people to talk to EV owners at a number of different locations in the same day. So it's really a win-win. We did an EV caravan last year, even during COVID, throughout Escondido, which is north of San Diego. And it was really a lot of fun. And again, it was pretty easy. We had a group of about 12 or 15 different electric vehicles. We met in a parking lot. We worked with the Escondido Chamber of Commerce. We worked with a local winery, which that was our stop point. They had an outdoor patio that was open with social distancing. And what we did was we drove our caravan through a couple of neighborhoods, and then we went through the downtown area, kind of down and then back up it, where people are seated outside, so that, I don't know if you all have eaten at restaurants where you're sitting outside, and now that they've pushed everything out to the sidewalks or even to that first lane, you know, when a big diesel truck goes by, it's noisy, it smells bad, it's not pleasant while you're eating. So to have 12 or 15 quiet, clean cars come through really got people's attention. And then we just put signs on the sides of the car that just talked about, you know, quiet, clean air and that type of thing, so that people could see that we were all kind of a group together. You can decorate the cars even, you know, there's a lot of different things you can do. So this is a great alternative to actually going through all the work of a parade.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Elaine. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about online event best practices. So if you want to host an online event, make sure that you have good audio quality, and, you know, of course, definitely do a test run. You know, a test run will allow you to identify if there's any awkward transitions or if some parts just start to feel slow. You can also see how your ending works. For example, if you want to end on a funny note or on a serious note, or, you know, leave people feeling inspired, you can help identify that during a test run. And also for audio quality, if you do want to incorporate live music, there are special connector devices you can buy so that the sound from a musical instrument like a guitar will come through clearly during the online event. All right, so next, always try to keep the different segments in your online event short and entertaining. Also, if you are going to use a pre-recorded video, we would recommend, you know, making sure that it serves a purpose and that it, you know, functions better than you presenting the information yourself. You know, we heard from some people during our online events last year that, you know, if they felt like they could have just watched the video on their own time on YouTube, it wasn't that valuable for them. So whatever video you use, make sure that it, you know, it's funny or serves some kind of purpose in your event. And then finally, if you want to include a call to action, those are great to save for the end. So you might ask people to pledge to research an EV, or ask them to sign up for your mailing list so they can stay updated on EV news. Great. There are also many sponsor benefits that you can offer with online events. In addition to adding a sponsor's logo to marketing materials and the slide deck, you can also play a pre-recorded video from the sponsor. Another idea is that you can essentially ask attendees to share their contact information with the sponsor by asking if they want to learn more about the sponsor's product or service. And then finally, if you choose an online event platform that offers networking between exhibitors and attendees, that can be a great way to increase engagement.
All right. So we have video of an online virtual test drive, and we have that available for you. And so, yes, so the online video shows the EV make and model. It explains EV charging and actually shows an example. So the one that we have shows that the EV charger can just plug right into a standard 120 volt wall outlet. So this is a really good thing to demonstrate to people that don't know anything about EVs. As we all know, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and a lot of times people have this idea in their head that they're going to have to do all kinds of crazy wiring and it's going to be expensive. So to actually show it in a video is really, really helpful to people that don't know anything about EVs. So this shows how you can plug into the standard wall outlet, and then it shows what happens once it's plugged into that vehicle. In this case, lights appear just below the front window to indicate that charging has begun, and the vehicle's dashboard also shows how full the battery is. So you can show also, if you're not able to do an actual ride and drive, you can do a video of showing the acceleration of a vehicle. So in this case, the person holding the camera recorded the speed to show how fast the vehicle is accelerating when merging onto a freeway. This is one way to show that, you know, EVs are not just normal cars, they're better, you know, and they're not golf carts. They have impressive instant torque, which allows them to speed up quickly. So, and this video will be, this whole slide deck will be available on the website afterwards. So the video is available if you want to incorporate that into any of your presentations. So stay tuned for upcoming webinars on ride and drives and media engagement. And then if you have any questions or need help, we'll take questions after we're done right now, but down the road, if you have questions, you can email support@driveelectricweek.org.
Awesome, thanks, Elaine. Okay, so I'm gonna look at the questions we have here. And also, thanks so much to everyone who's participating in the chat and, you know, kind of brainstorming. That's great to see. So the first question is, does anyone have recommendations for movies to show at a film screening? So the first obvious choice is Who Killed the Electric Car? And that really talks about the birth of the electric car with the GM's EV1. And it also goes over, you know, kind of how actually Plug-in America got started. So that's a really interesting one. And Elaine, I don't know if you know any other great movies, although Who Killed the Electric Car does have a sequel. So if you wanted to play that too. Oh.
Oops. So those are great ones. And I actually had somebody that I talked to the other day who said that they are looking at possibly renting out the local drive-in theater and even showing something like Back to the Future. And so what they were going to do is they were trying to have just kind of a fun movie and then have it set up to where they could do have the cars on display, their EVs on display before the movie started, so that people that were coming to see the movie could talk to owners and that type of thing. And then we were talking about the possibility too of even having the movie theater, do some public service announcements, before and after the movie about how to contact their group and how to get more information, and maybe even post the National Drive Electric Week website address and that type of thing.
Yeah, thanks, Elaine. And then we also have a couple other suggestions in the chat. A movie about Formula E racing called And We Go Green. All right, so next question from Zandibin Scott. Could you explain why people would rather watch an online event after the fact? And what was it that made the live online event less attractive and interesting? I think there's a lot going on, with that. Just from our experience with the live online events, I think we had a lot of success with our first one, which we did for Drive Electric Earth Day last year. And it was helped by the fact that it was right at the start of the pandemic when people weren't used to them. So it was a really new thing. So I think, just having a newness factor really helps to increase interest. But another really important factor is having a large following on social media. During National Drive Electric Week last year, we got a really good number of views on our live kickoff event because we hosted it on Sierra Club's platform, which has a ton of followers, via their Facebook page, who are all automatically notified when they go live. So if you're trying to do a live online event and get lots of engagement, try to partner with someone who has a really good social media following. And then another question about, can an NDEW event focus less on cars and more on e-bikes and mass transit and car sharing, as long as it's predominantly electric? So that's a great question. We actually really want to encourage people to include e-bikes and e-buses in your events this year, because those are such an important part of electrifying transportation across the board, in addition to personal vehicles. Drive Electric Week is founded with, on the principle of having freeway capable electric vehicles at each event. So I think we would like each event to still have a display of, Nissan Leafs and Chevy Bolts and vehicles like that. But definitely feel free to include as many types of electric transit as you can. All right, and then we also have another tip from JD Taylor, who runs the Poolsville event, and which is a great tip, which is to connect with an established event who already has a built-in audience. Yeah, so that's a great tip. Instead of trying to attract people from scratch and build an event from the ground up, if you can connect with a local farmer's market, or even hold it in the parking lot of a store like a Whole Foods, that already has people coming in and out, that's a great way to have a successful event. And that reminds me of, one thing to keep in mind as you're organizing is that your feeling of success matters a lot too. If you organize an event, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and it can mean a really big reward at the end when you see all these people learning about electric and hopefully, telling you afterwards that they purchased an EV. So, we really want your event to be successful, so you walk away feeling really good about all the work that you did. Right, and I don't see any more questions, so I'll wait just a couple minutes. And as I mentioned earlier, if anyone has any other questions about organizing a parade, we can put you in touch with Mark Schechter. And I'm sure he can give you lots of details. He did tell me that he's not the one who applies for the permit himself, but I'm sure he can connect you with the person who does, and they can, explain that process in more detail. And then we do have a question about the recording for this meeting. So this webinar is being recorded, and we will send out the recording via email to anyone who is a past or current Drive Electric Week volunteer. It will also be on the event planning guide, which any volunteer with an account on the website can access. And then we also have a question for Elaine. If Elaine could say more about city captains.
Sure. So, yeah, let's see.
I think that's in the chat, actually.
Okay, yeah, taking a look at that right now. Yeah, so question is, is it too chaotic to believe that a community of partner organizations could come together as volunteers to create, organize, and host without a budget, without any kind of sponsors or anything like that? And yeah, that is definitely possible. I mean, pretty much if you have a table and a pop-up, you're good to go. And, if you don't have one, we can probably hook you up with someone that would loan you one. So it's definitely possible. We've done events. Kylie mentioned the farmers market. That's a great place because typically people that attend farmers markets are a little bit more eco responsible, I think, and eco aware, if you were. So, you can do that like so easily. We did one recently in Vista, California. We had 8 vehicles. They were happy to give us space. We had a booth and a table and, talked to people all morning. So it's definitely easy to do an event without any kind of sponsorship dollars.
Awesome, thanks, Elaine. Then we have another question. Would we get a list of registered attendees for a film screening? Yes, definitely. So any event that registers on driveelectricweek.org will get a free online event page where attendees can register. So if you set up your page at the beginning and basically put the name of an organization that attendees can opt in to join, that will allow you to get their email address, but you do have to set that up right when you create the event because attendees who register before you set that feature up will not be able to provide their email address. But yeah, no matter what type of event you're doing, whether it's a film screening, an EV parade, a caravan, or an online event, you can always have that online event page and receive that list of registered attendees.
And just a note too, if I can jump in here. So you can have more than one city captain. So especially if like one of the questions talked about having different organizations work together, say you have 3 or 4 people, from 3 or 4 different organizations, you can have multiple city captains for the same event. And that makes it nice because they can all log in and, see everything and have access to everything on your event page. Oh, and let's see, how to become a city captain. Just register your event and click sign up as the city captain. I don't think there's much more to it than that, is there, Kylie?
Yeah, exactly. So on the website, if you go to the volunteer page, it will ask for your name and email first, and then your location information. And once you do that, it'll show a list of nearby events. And the reason we do that is because if there may already be an event being organized in your city, on the day that you wanted to do it. So it may be better to join forces. But once you see that list of events pop up, you can scroll down, excuse me, you can scroll down and there's a button to register to organize a new event. Once you submit that form, I just review it and then you'll get an email notification when your event page is set up. And then also I saw a comment in here about, someone being able to organize an event without much cost except to publish some literature. So I did want to throw in that Drive Electric Week does provide no cost printed materials, EV educational printed materials. So, at least you may not have to print as much, or you can, you don't have to print anything. And those orders usually open up, I believe, around the end of July or early August. And we will email all events about those, whether you're a current volunteer or a past volunteer. You'll get an email when those kits are available to order. And we print and ship those to you for free.
And then I think JD made a comment in the chat, which is important to note. Once you are the city captain of your event, when someone volunteers for your event, you can promote them to a co-captain if you would like, or a city captain rather.
Got it, thanks. And we do have a question from Barry Rands. So he's holding his ride and drive in the same parking lot as a Tesla supercharger. And he's wondering if anyone has been successful in getting a Tesla representative to participate.
Yes, so we've actually gotten Tesla to participate in a ride and drive in San Diego. And, you know, sometimes it can be tough because a lot of the events are on weekends. And, you know, we run into this issue sometimes with dealers of all sorts that, you know, that's kind of their busy time to, you know, at their showrooms and at their dealerships. But if you talk to them, you know, get a relationship going well ahead of the event, a lot of times they will bring out multiple cars even to your event for test drives.
Definitely. And then we have a question about, do the educational materials have a QR code? Most of them don't. You know, some of them might, you know, because it's a mix of materials from Plug-in America, Electric Auto, and Sierra Club, as well as some materials from our sponsors. But most of the materials don't have a QR code. We will provide a PDF of all the materials so you can print extra copies if that's helpful. And just to clarify, you do have to have an event registered on the website and occurring during National Drive Electric Week to be eligible for those free printed materials. Yes. Oh, and another question about the event kits. We are planning to send out, I believe we will still be sending yard signs and banners similar to past years. So yard signs are, you know, little signs with stakes that you stick in the ground, and they have arrows so you can point people to your event. And we likely will have new logos and kind of a new design for those signs. So if you've ordered them in the past, I would encourage you to request them again this year to get that updated graphic. And then another question here from Paula. Any possibility of adding a local logo to the NDEW materials? You can do that on your marketing materials. So once you create an account on driveelectricweek.org, you can access the event planning guide. And from there, you can download the official Drive Electric Week logo, as well as the logos of the national organizers, Plug-in America, Electric Auto, and Sierra Club. So, you know, you could use those to create your own marketing materials, and, you know, on those materials for your event, also include local sponsors or your local organization. Okay. Great. Well, I think that's it for today. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for, you know, being so active and helping each other in the chat, as well as in this Q&A. You know, we really appreciate your support and, you know, all the feedback we're able to share with each other. Elaine, any last thoughts before we end the webinar today?
No, thanks everybody for joining us, and looking forward to seeing a lot of events this year.
Same here. Good luck, everyone, and reach out. We'll be here to help.